All right, it's September 14th, 2024. We're Celebrate Petworth. This is Dan Kerr. Could you tell me your name?
Yes, my name is Philip Pannell.
And Philip, could you tell me about your connection to Petworth?
My connection to Petworth is that when I moved to DC back in 1975, I came to DC to work on the staff of the first Home Rule Council. The Ward 4 council member was Arrington Dixon, and one of my responsibilities was to set up and to run the first council constituent service office, which is located at 806 Upshur Street, Northwest, here in Petworth. And so I worked out of there. I was one of the folks that helped to form the Ward for Democrats. And I also lived in Petworth. I lived at 14th and Randolph Streets, Northwest. I lived in Twin Oaks. And then I moved to the complex that was directly next to it. That was Randolph Towers, and then I moved to Twin Oaks. And I was the very first advisory neighborhood commissioner in that neighborhood. So I was one of Petworth's first ANCs going back to 1976.
That's such an incredible story.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you. So you were heading up the constituent services literally right across the street from where we're sitting now.
Literally.
And so what were the constituents interested in? What were the issues that were important to them in the 70s?
Well, first it was all totally new. And just the council was new, and the constituent service office was new. And people came in. I always make sure that the office was open almost 7 days a week and into the evening so that working people could come. They were the type of issues that most folks would expect. People were concerned about trees being cut, crime, litter. There were people who had tenant landlord type of issues. Of course, people were always concerned with the delivery of city services. There's always concerns and complaints in that area. So I basically had to deal with all of that. And then when I became one of the first advisory neighborhood commissioners in Petworth, ANCs, it was totally new. And so people, they were really involved and concerned in terms of helping to actually help to establish the roles and responsibilities of commissioners. I'll never forget when I ran, I told people, and I put it on my literature, that I would be accessible to them anytime. Well, someone took me up on that one time. I got a call at 1 o'clock in the morning because I had put my information, and there was this gentleman who said that he had run out of scotch to drink and wanted to know, like, what could if I had any extra scotch available, because I did say I was there to service my constituents. And I told him I did not drink scotch, but I did have some beer, and he actually came over and got the beer and everything like that. And I remember when I ran for re-election, I made it a point of not saying that I would be, available at any time, because people could take that literally.
That is a fantastic story.
Yes.
So you lived in the neighborhood in the 1970s. You've been in the city, very involved. You're here. How is the neighborhood similar, different? Obviously, the
Well, here in Petworth?
Yeah.
I'm going to confess, I haven't been up here in quite a while. I just happened to be at a meeting in the Petworth Public Library. I am the treasurer for the Make All Votes Count DC committee, which is the Initiative 83 campaign. So I was just coming out of the library and I saw this festival and I said, let me see what, what's going on. And they said, oh, it's Petworth Day. And here I am on the block with that I worked nearly 50 years ago.
That's incredible.
So it's just feeling very nostalgic. I had no idea I would wind up doing an interview.
Well, and that's even better reason to ask. So today, walking down, you haven't been here for nearly 50 years.
I've been, there's a restaurant that is down the street called the Hitching Post. And so I used to come up to Petworth to go over there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go over there now. Nice. But I didn't even know this festival was going on.
And what are your impressions just now in comparison to, when you
almost 50 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, looking at on this block, there are many more businesses, the restaurants. There was no Petworth Day Festival when I worked here, so it is really great. But one of the things that just dawned on me after having lived and worked here, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know where the name Petworth comes from. I don't know if it's named after a person or a place. Do you know?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I will have to find that out.
To make it part of your this documentary, because I was asking people, where does the name come from? Well, and as I said, I'm embarrassed to say, like 50 years ago, it never crossed my mind to find out. I just knew I lived in Petworth, and that was it.
Well, a lot of folks say it's because there's so many pets here.
And they're very worthwhile, and so that's why you got Petworth. They're very.
So
yeah.
Up there.
I do not see your cup. There's no cup here.
I'm just wondering if there's a neighborhood historian around who can actually say.
There must be. We will find.
I'm sure
out.
You're going to make it a point to find out before the day is over, right?
We'll do our best to discover that. Well, are there any kind of last stories that you'd like to tell us about Petworth, or things you'd like to share in terms of your experiences, impressions of the neighborhood?
No, I'm always, I am always gratified when people in DC are focusing on and lifting up and celebrating the neighborhoods in which they live. So many times people are just unaware of where they live, or what are the history of the neighborhood, or the traditions, or the folk ways, and we get caught up in, say, the things that are politically geopolitical. People will know about their wards, but many times will not know about their neighborhoods. And having festivals like this, focusing on a neighborhood, it helps to establish and cement a sense of a place and a person's connection to it. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Philip. I appreciate your time.
Sure. Okay.